What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge NFL Kickoff Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book, born in Vegas. Will Brinson, Nejad, Danny Brasco. What's happening, fellas? How we doing?
You know, I've had better Sundays. I only had 2 official picks on the site today. One of them was the 49ers, and who knows what would have happened if their players were healthy. But I didn't like Brock Purdy's performance much at all. But here's the devastating part. The other play was Geno Smith over 259.5 passing yards. And I hate to start off negative here, but you asked me how I was doing. He had 181 yards in the first half. And because the Atlanta Falcons were so incompetent in the second half, he didn't really need to throw at all. He only threw for 18 yards, I believe, in the second half. So we go under there. Very frustrating. But I got another pick today, pretty confident in. So we'll see how it goes.
28 passing attempts, 207 yards, 34 points. Like, I don't know, 28 passing attempts and 34 points. I would have guessed Geno goes over that number for you. The incompetence of Danny Dimes, sorry, Danny Brasco, cost me multiple anytime touchdown parlays because Malik Neighbors, who, Drew Lock was brought in. The Eagles pulled everybody. That's, I mean, Danny Dimes is the guy going forward, just like Andy Dalton. I mean, these coaches are something else, man.
Yeah, man. So far on the day for me, 1-1 on the 2-unit plays. The Packers come through on the money line there. I'm sorry if you had the -2.5. That's a tough hook. But and then the Niners, I was also lamenting with Sia. Yeah, Brock Purdy's play just not there today. But the unders are back after the public crushed and overs and road favorites last week. Unders are back in business. That Seahawks and Falcons game was able to stay under the total. The Giants, ineptitude of Danny Dimes helped that one, of course, stay on the total, dropping a big old 3-piece. And happy to see the system plays back in order.
Love it. We got a good one tonight in the sense that it's a high-profile affair. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is like the news game of the week, right? The Jets at the Steelers. Jets -2.5, a total of 39.5. Of course, you see Aaron Rodgers there. He acquired a new weapon this week in the Jets trading for Davante Adams. And then, not to be outdone, Mike Tomlin decides to go and change his starting quarterback. So instead of Justin Fields, we're going to have Russell Wilson in this game. See, I'll go to you first. What do you like? Side or total? What do you play here?
Yeah, I like the Jets in this one. I mean, this is coming from a guy who liked the Jets against the Bills last Monday night. So I guess I'm just sort of still on their bandwagon, or what's left of it. But when I look at this game, this is one of those classic cases for me where I think these teams regress to the mean. I think the Jets are a better team than their record indicates. And I think the Steelers are a worse team than their record indicates. And then you add hey, we're going to swap out quarterbacks here with Russell Wilson. Now, I don't leave it out of the question that Justin Fields is also going to see the field. That's just me speculating. But Russell Wilson hasn't been good in a few years. He's behind a very tattered offensive line. They're just not a good team rushing the ball. Of course, against the Cowboys, they rushed the ball okay, but I don't see them moving the ball down the field. And then you look at the Jets side, Breece Hall starting to come into his own. You add Davante Adams to Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin active. I think the Jets can do enough. I don't think they're going to be this prolific offense in Pittsburgh with TJ Watt and that Pittsburgh defense rushing the passer. But at the end of the day, I think they cover the line here. I have them money line. That's what I put on SportsLine. But if you want to take it at -2.5, I like that too. I expect them to escape with a 3-point win or better.
Yeah, the Packers not covering the 2.5 there, maybe like why, it's one of those reasons why you're like, 2.5, I don't have to worry about it. I mean, this can be a low scoring game, Danny. And if you like the Jets, you may be inclined to go money line versus the spread, right?
Yeah, points could be at a premium, but I do agree with Sia's points. And actually, a lot of people expecting me, of course, to come in here and say primetime unders. That's the play. I said that there will be a few discretionary passes I'll have this season. This is going to be one. The total's now up to 40. I saw some people playing that under around 38.5, 39, and it's just on the move. And I can see some offense now that Todd Downing is calling the plays. Davante Adams is in the mix. I think that, the Jets have this new look, free-flowing offense. And to a lot of Sia's points, I mean, I think they build on that momentum from last week, despite an ugly losing effort that the referees gave us no favors in. I mean, just a brutal game to watch. One of the worst NFL games I've ever witnessed. Just from a fan perspective as well. So if you, I wrote on SportsLine today, if you can shake off the PTSD from last week's loss, the Jets are the right side, I think. Russell Wilson decision is puzzling to me. And more than anything, I like to bet against teams with offensive line issues. Zach Frazier, such a key piece to the Steelers' offensive line. He's still out. They got multiple other injuries, guys that have been out for multiple weeks already. So, you add a new quarterback. I know it's a veteran, but I don't see his upside over over Justin Fields. And you saw the Jets last week. The Bills were able to just punch him in the mouth with the run game, right? That was the way that they were getting beat. Justin Fields offered rushing upside that an older Russell Wilson does not anymore. So I don't think it's going to assist them at all. I think the Jets handle this game.
Yeah, I think, that the Bills game, we sort of had the narrative of fired your coach, dead cat bounce back, the dead cat bounce game. Thankfully, probably not here to be bothered by it. It didn't happen, but I thought the Jets, they were right there. This one to me feels like, all right, we got a game under our belt, lost to a division rival in a close primetime game. Now we have Devontae. Like, it is everyone's blaming Aaron Rodgers for the trade. I think he comes into this game and feeds Adams. I'm not blaming him for the trade, just giving him credit for executing the trade. I think he comes in here and feeds Adams, finds Adams in the end zone. We saw Amari Cooper score for the Bills already this week, and the Jets take care of business. To me, moving from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, and Mike Tomlin's a Hall of Fame coach. He can do what he wants. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to motivate his locker room. He knows how to win football games. But man, when you're 4-2 and you move from the guy who's your starting quarterback to a less mobile quarterback who's had a calf injury all season and who hasn't looked good since 2021, I have questions about the decision-making process. And I realize Justin Fields, said that he needs to do stuff better. I think they'll actually use him some tonight, but I like the Jets as well. I just think they find a way to win because they need this win. I think they're a better team despite the records. And I think a lot of people will look at the game and see, you have a home team that's 4-2, that's a dog against the sort of loathed Jets and Aaron Rodgers and want to bet the Steelers. And I think the Jets probably are the sharp side in this game. So I am also on the Jets in this one. In the chat, I don't know if we have any questions. Oh, here we go. Thoughts on neither team scoring 25 points at 2023?
Yeah, the fractions have me thrown off, but I assume that's it's pretty much close to even money, a little less than 1-1 there. Dominic, we'll take the minus signs and the plus signs if you got them, but I like that.
I said Canada, buddy.
This will be a low-scoring affair, in my opinion. I don't see either team getting to 25. This to me seems like a 20-13, and I know Brasco just spoke to the overs, or at least laying off the under, in that the line has shot up a little bit. To me, this is like 23-13, 20-16. Maybe even a little lower than that. So I kind of like. I'm not betting that, but I kind of like that play.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, you're I could see I don't see the Steelers getting to 25 unless there's an offensive touchdown. Maybe the Jets could get there if there's some narrative to really get Adams going. But I think if the Jets get a lead, you're going to see just a heavy dose of Breece Hall.
Yep.
And would be very surprised. And then Braylon Allen would just be very surprised if the Jets weren't inclined to get a lead, squat on it, play defense. Their rush defense can be had, but you stack the box and just isolate your corners on George Pickens, and you should be able to slow this offense down for Pittsburgh. I mean, there's just nothing to love about it. So, yeah, I think I would lean towards neither team scoring 25 as well.
Yeah, and also DJ Reed, who was before last week, was the number 1 PFF graded cover corner. Now he's number 2 after he had probably his worst game of the season. I'm expecting him to show back up tonight. So look for DJ Reed to be on his P's and Q's. I think he's on lockdown mode.
Mm-hmm.
Another one with fractions. Weird one in my book. Jets plus 4.5, under 51.5, and Rodgers over 179 at basically even money.
Yeah. What leg don't you like about that? I'm not mad at it. I don't like a 3-legger for even money. I'd like a little more than that, but yeah. I think that'll hit.
I like the first 2 legs a lot. I could see a scenario where things go really bad this is just a scenario, right? Where things go bad enough for Pittsburgh that we don't see a lot of passing from Aaron Rodgers. In fact, one of the props I was considering was not his completions under, and I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers, but his pass attempts under, which is at 32.5. The only reason I laid off of it is because he's hit it, and I believe 5 out of the 6 games he's played, he's hit it. But more importantly, I do see Davante Adams possibly being an extension of the run game, where we just see a lot of those quick hitters, just to get the Pittsburgh defense off balance a little bit. And if there's enough of those, he may go over that total. But I could see a scenario, believe it or not, where Aaron Rodgers throws for 159 yards. It just depends on how the game goes. But as far as quarterbacks are concerned, I just wanted to point it out. I still like Aaron Rodgers under pass attempts, 32.5, not as an official play, but as a play. And Brasco, we lost Will for a second. What do you think of that pass attempts under, though?
I knew you'd just so smoothly jump into host duties. I like where you're at with that, Sia, because I think, you like the risk in the overpass attempts is that quick hitter screen game where you're not going to want to take hits from TJ Watt, right? And that pocket's going to be collapsing with the Steelers. That's the main concern facing their defense, is their ability to turn you over and put you in 2nd and 19 off an early down sack. So I think he could have a lot of quick hitters. But yeah, for that reason, they should look to lean on Breece Hall and avoid the turnovers after a couple just disastrous results. Special teams, they just can't get out of their own way. Like, let's give the rock to Breece. Let's stay safe. So maybe he looks to limit the passing and the turnover-worthy plays.
And I don't know if we did this already, Danny, and we're waiting for Will to get back, of course. But did you give out your official play, the one that was on the Jets? Did you already give that out?
I guess I did. I was piggybacking off yours, but Jets is certainly an official play. And you and I got a pretty good number. I got -116 out there. I think you got
nice.
-122, and they're up to -155, I believe, and on the move. So I think the market's respecting it. I think we were onto it early.
Yep.
Sorry about that. My Chrome crashed. It happens like once every like 6 weeks or something. You just disappear from a stream. Still a very old computer. Let's look at the inactives that we have. Actually, DJ Reed inactive.
He's out. Wow.
Yeah, he did leave. He did leave last week's game early. So yeah, here we are. I mean, that's certainly an upgrade for the Steelers' weapons. I still think, Will, it's a formidable defense. Even without DJ Reed. But yeah, that's a big hit.
Yeah, I mean, Sauce is going to be on George Pickens, which basically means you've got like Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson, since Roman Wilson also inactive for the Steelers, who you need to figure it out. Zach Frazier, as Danny noted, is out. Malachi Corley, Michael Carter, Izzy Abanikanda. I don't know why I keep trying to pronounce Izzy's last name successfully on the show, like an idiot. And then Max Mitchell there for the Jets. So some notable names on the inactives. Let's get to player props. I'm going to throw up a question that we got in here because it relates to my player prop. Bet365 is a Davante Adams anytime touchdown plus 250 boost. Yeah. Hammer that. That's a great value. I see it like plus 150 in certain. I think he's plus 150 on MGM. And my player prop is Davante Adams anytime touchdown. I think this is big time narrative street. And the Steelers have a good defense, but I think Davante Adams can win. I don't think there's going to be a ton of time to ramp up and get, he doesn't have to get acquainted with Rodgers and figure out what he's doing. As I mentioned, Amari Cooper already scored for the Bills, and he and Josh Allen might not have known each other until Tuesday. Adams and Rodgers have a great rapport, and maybe most importantly, they being Adams and Rodgers, love to target Adams down at the goal line, not just in the red zone, but at the goal line, like on the 1 yard line. They will do stuff like, have Adams just sort of freelance a little bit in the end zone. He's a great red zone target. And I think I wouldn't be surprised at all if they use that here, especially to, again, Woody Johnson ain't happy right now. You know how to make him happy? You win a football game and you feed Davante Adams and he gets to peacock around afterwards. So I think Davante Adams anytime touchdown at plus 150 is a very nice look. And at plus 250, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I assume nobody disagrees with plus 250 there. I mean,
it's a good number. I think the question becomes, with scoring potentially at a premium, how many touchdowns do you get? But to your point, it's probably Davante Adams and Breece Hall if we're going to see touchdowns, it's probably those two guys first. And what's so interesting about Davante Adams, if you look at his receiving yards prop, it's even higher than Garrett Wilson's, which I frankly am surprised by. with Devontae Adams only being on the team for, 6 days, I air quote that because he's probably been talking to Rodgers and being fed some plays maybe a few weeks ago. But I think that's really interesting. So clearly the market thinks that Devontae Adams is even going to be a slightly greater target than Garrett Wilson, which is really saying something in their first game together.
Yeah. I mean, the dude had a bad hamstring for 3 days or 3 weeks, and suddenly he's just like, hey, like dancing around practice and like making one-handed catches. I mean, come on.
He did the Willy Wonka, the rollout.
Yeah. Or like there were a ton of great gifts like floating around for that. There's like a soccer guy who's like limping, and then all of a sudden he turns and like shakes his butt at the crowd. There's the Triple H like rips the thing off his leg and fake cast. Sia, what do you have for player props?
No official player props. My official play is going to be Jets money line. But again, if I had to lean, and you'll see my parlay in a second, and you can maybe kind of comb through that and decide whether you like something that I put in the parlay. A good example of that for the parlay, the plus 825 parlay we hit. Who was it? Javonte Williams over rushing yards was in that parlay, but it wasn't an official play of mine. But again, Aaron Rodgers under 32.5 pass attempts would be my strongest lean from a player prop standpoint.
All right, I dig it. What do you have, Danny? By the way, I'm firing up my book now to make sure I don't have to go back in the stream to try and cash another Sia parlay after the one hit on Thursday night.
You can't miss him, man. You cannot miss him out. You guys segued nicely into in that receiver discussion about the market respecting Devontae Adams. Look at Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers finally had their big game and connected for touchdown, nearly 2 touchdowns, one that got rattled out of his hand. So look, it's a little weird where the receiving yards totals are set, and all of a sudden Allen Lazard is the forgotten man with a receiving yards total of 27.5. I think books may have forgotten just because of the entrance of Devontae Adams that he's gone well over this total in 5 of 6 games this season. He's been perhaps Aaron Rodgers' most reliable target, the guy that he's had communication with while he's screaming at Garrett Wilson to get on the same page as him. Over and over again, he's going back to Lazard. So I think this total is suppressed because of the entrance of Adams. And I think Rodgers will continue to go to him despite, more target share being spread around. So give me Lazard over 27.5, and at plus 420, I might sprinkle a little quarter unit on him to find the end zone too.
I dig it. Let's get to some chat questions for props. This is a spicy one. Nathan Wagner says, I'm sitting on 10 out of 10 on a parlay with Jets money line for the last leg, cash out or ride. I mean, Jets money line, we saw the graphic Harry put up. It's like minus 140 now. It was like, you can find it around minus 125, I think, probably, depending on where you shop around. I'm just looking what I see. Yeah, I see like a minus 154. The Jets are minus 2.5, minus 120 in the market. So the line is moving in your favor. Cash out is going to be a bad option, almost certainly. Like the price you're going to get is not going to be great. So if anything, I would be hedging on the Steelers money line instead of cashing out, because you can guarantee yourself some kind of profit. And if I guess, what would you do if let's say the Steelers jump out to, like, definitely don't cash out if the Steelers jump out to a lead, because the cash out will go down. Like, would you want to, if you hedge Steelers money line, would you then come back and bet the Jets plus money, or is that foolish?
I think a lot of this ends up coming down to like your discretion, right? Like, how much did you put $10 to win $100? Did you put $1,000 to win $100,000?
Yeah.
And what kind of money are you looking to win? Do you want to like secure yourself, $50 no matter what happens?
Is rent due tomorrow and you need the $1,000? Like, look, I'm not saying like, gamble responsibly, obviously, but like, those things matter.
No, of course. And you're in the right hedge spot with the underdog you have the favorite as the very last leg, and you can hedge the dog. So no matter what, you can make profit. You can at least make whatever you put down on the parlay back if you want to ride out the rest and just kind of make an insurance bet. But yeah, that comes up to you. But like Brinson said, you're in the right spot to hedge. Always hedge, never cash out. You can find more profit if you want to play it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing you could do too, Nathan, if you don't have, like, you're not, let's say you're playing to win $1,000, but you don't want to put 500, you don't want to put 100 or whatever it is on the Steelers money line. Could even wait, see if the Jets score first, and then nibble a hedge there at like some very good plus money if the Jets are out 7-0 or something like that, if you're so inclined.
And Eric in the chat says Steelers plus 3. You could middle it. There you go.
Yeah, you could absolutely middle it. Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
I don't want to talk too long on this, but Nathan said he put $20 to win 1,200. In that case, I would let it ride, but I would have a pretty sizable hedge spot on the money line for Pittsburgh. And again, it depends on what you're comfortable. Are you comfortable winning $200 as a worst case scenario on this bet? So then probably only have to bet 175 maybe on the Steelers money line to secure at plus money to secure 200 and change. So your worst case scenario is 200. Your best case is 1,200. That's sort of, to me, that's sort of the math that I would do for myself. What am I comfortable winning? Because I can lock myself into a profit regardless.
Yeah, I would be putting, I think in this case where we're not, where you, let's just say you have $100 available to you to bet on the Steelers, that would be my minimum money line bet on the Steelers. If I had $1,200, I'm going to win 1,200 on 20, I'm absolutely putting $100 on the Steelers minimum to just to make sure. And I think Sia, better at math, sharper than I am, nailed it with the 175. Like that's pretty good. That way, worst case scenario, you in this game and you're up $200 and you don't feel like you got your guts ripped out on the last leg of a parlay on Sunday night because Russell Wilson decided to show up and ruin Aaron Rodgers' week. Polywana asks, Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin receiving yards are both at 15.5. Great plays considering a backup cornerback will be on them. I don't know if I would say great plays, and they're both at 15.5, and we don't know which one's going to get there, and we have a new quarterback. So I see the angle here. I think they'll be popular in DFS, but I don't know. I mean, do you guys love either one of these guys?
Well, I don't love anything but Palwina. Is that how you pronounce it? This is my ladder play.
Did I say Polywana? What did I say?
I didn't even hear what you said. But long story short, we're probably both mispronouncing it, but that's the way I decided to go with it. Calvin Austin is my ladder play of the day. What's interesting is you're not going to see a lot of legs for his ladder. But I do think, one thing we know about Russell Wilson historically is he's checked down near the line of scrimmage, but he will take some deep shots. And I do think, even though Calvin Austin doesn't get a lot of receptions, doesn't get a lot of targets, this is one of those cases where he's the type of receiver. It only requires one target and one catch for him to get a 50-yard gain. So if you want to play the 25 plus on Calvin Austin, it's plus 190. I think in this case, because this game doesn't present a lot of really appetizing ladder plays. But I will say this, I might bypass the 25 plus and play the 40 plus on Calvin Austin as my only, quote, part of the ladder at plus 500. Because to me, Russell Wilson is likely to take one or two deep shots, and they might both go to Calvin Austin. If he catches one of them, that's a 55-yard gain. Even if it's a 45-yard gain, you're cashing the plus 500. So I think at plus 500, I'm willing to speculate on Calvin Austin. Like, think about that. We just talked about like $20 for 1,200. You could put $20 on that. I'm not advocating that. Do whatever you want. Put $1 on it. $20 and you're cashing out $100. I mean, that's pretty great for a guy who could very well catch one ball and cash this.
And I would just say too, with that, and I don't want to speak for Sia here, but it's sort of the same principle as your Mason Tipton play from Thursday night.
Yeah.
And he got the look. And, you got Rattler throwing to him, and did he get mauled? Did they got PI?
Yeah. So he hit the front part of that ladder at 40 plus for good plus money, but he got mauled on his last. No, but there was one in the first half where they ran a vertical shot for him, and he got. And that ladder could have been in the barn, and that's sort of what you're looking for with Calvin Austin is Russell. Like, they're running the ball decently. Najee, bootleg Russ off play action. Calvin Austin streaking down the field. Russ takes a shot. You don't have a good quarterback in coverage, and you hit the ladder immediately. So I think Sia would obviously we like the Austin over Van Jefferson. Greg the leg over 1.5 field goals.
If you have the courage to bet on that after last week's display, I salute you and I wish you well. But I will be staying 50 yards away from that one.
Yeah, that's a stay away for me too. It can be tough to kick in Pittsburgh sometimes as well. And
Greg probably won't be 50 yards away from the field from the
I chose that number.
Kicking. Yeah.
I chose that number specifically. Yeah.
I guess whatever, it's legal in some states. I love weed. Asked Pat Fryermuth, whatever, over 3.5 receptions plus 130. See, you talk about where Russ might like to live here. That favors the tight end, right?
It totally does. Honestly, this is a pretty good. Like, I guess I kind of like this number because it's plus 130. I do think he's probably in that 3 to 4 reception category. So I actually think that's a good look. But Will, I'll tell you, he's involved in my plus 825 parlay. So it might be a good segue just to go there because Freiermuth is part of the discussion.
All right. Thoughts on Russell Wilson over 174.5 passing yards. The line seems sketchy low. It's not sketchy low. It's Russell Wilson low. It's Arthur Smith low. Is what it is.
And don't undervalue the loss of their offensive lineman with a new quarterback under center. Like I'm still speculating that this decision to switch to Wilson might not be like political, and it might blow up in their face right away. And then whoever made that call maybe is canned, and you see a lot of sort of front office stuff going on with the Steelers. Because this, the classic football proverb, if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Like this might be the first example of that for the Steelers. And then for them to kind of change their mind on where they're going to head with this QB tree.
Mm-hmm. And they've also said that, or hinted at least the possibility of using multiple quarterback, like using Justin Field in packages. And if that's the case, which, yeah, I mean, like what is this? Like, Chris Leak and Tim Tebow, get out of here.
Taysom Hill, like, come on, he's not, he's better than that.
And you would think that if they do that, those packages will be closer to the goal line for Justin Fields. But if like okay, here's a couple things too. One, Russell Wilson has been dealing with a calf injury and has been trying to act like he can play through it no matter what. Calf injury can pop right back up. And they have a quarterback that they could go to if he's hobbled at all, which would mean you kill these under props quickly. And then two, if these packages that they're talking about are actually utilized and they're not by the goal line and Fields is running some run plays out like at midfield or wherever he is, and it's not a full-blown Russ game, you could really lose some, like you could lose a drive here, a drive there, and all of a sudden it gets really, really thin in terms of hitting that. So, yeah, be careful with the Russ. Yeah. Najee Harris from X-Men Lifestyle, who doesn't like to live the life of Wolverine. Najee Harris, 55.5 rushing yards.
It's fine. This is a rush defense that can give up a lot of yards, but you're putting faith in Najee Harris. And you notice on that inactive list, you didn't see Jaylen Warren.
Sure didn't.
Jaylen Warren is the more north-south runner, and this could be a hot hand approach. We'll see. I think Jaylen Warren is a really interesting guy. I'm not willing to put my money on Jaylen Warren, but I'm also not willing to do it on Najee Harris because of Jaylen Warren. So it's a no for me. I think it's a fine number. But if anything, I would probably be leaning the under, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Jaylen Warren gets a decent amount of looks in the passing and rushing game.
Yeah, now while we're talking about rush yards, Braylon Allen over 19.5 yards just sung to me. It just popped out. I mean, that feels low. If we think the Jets are on a positive game script, Braylon Allen, 19.5.
Did I not even ask you about your player props, Danny? I'm sorry.
We did actually. I think when you cut out, I was chatting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I was like flustered. Everything disappeared.
I'm all over Lazard tonight. I think Lazard is the forgotten man. Super low total. Another low total, Braylon Allen. I think he can get involved in the game for sure.
Jaylen Warren, by the way, 37% of the offensive snaps last week in his return after 2 games being inactive, had 31, 48, and 34 in the first 3 weeks of the season. So you're talking about a guy who's going to see a lot of the snaps. And I think I actually have Najee. God, that's a low number. I think I actually put a Najee thing in my parlay, which I'm like, it's too late to like take it out and have Harry edit the graphic or anything like that. So I'll ride with it. But yeah, I mean, I think you have to worry about that. And Warren has just looked like the better running back of the two. So certainly concerning in that instance. Breece Hall over 60.5 rush yards. I mean, I like the rushing attempts for both guys better. And you can't parlay those because the books the books know that those numbers are a little easier to like sort of focus in on. I think you're a lot more likely to see these guys hit their rushing attempt total, and then you don't have to worry about the efficiency or the guys like Jalen taking carries or Braylon Allen taking or like Braylon Allen ripping off the runs or stealing whatever.
Yeah, agree. This is definitely one of those games where we should be looking at more unders than we should be looking at overs for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it feels like all the time you just want to, bet on players to succeed, but a lot of the time a game script can call for you to hammer a lot of unders and inflated totals that will not be hitting because the public wants those results,
Yeah, and these numbers are so stupid low that it's like, all right, I mean, like, how is this not going to hit? By the way, I missed a 4-leg parlay because Justin Jefferson didn't get one catch on that. Like, they couldn't get Justin Jefferson the ball one time. I had anytime touchdown, Jeddah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and both guys go over 100 yards and missed it by just a hair. Very tough. Najee Harris over 13.5 receiving yards.
See, he was talking about checkdowns, Russell Wilson checkdowns, right? I mean, that could play into it.
Yeah, and the question becomes, how many does he get? How many does Jaylen Warren get? The one thing that this doesn't point out, and thanks for the question, D. Johnson. I know he's a regular on all of our early edge stuff. 13.5 receiving yards is also Jaylen Warren's receiving yard total. I do like the idea of Russell Wilson just like chucking around near the line of scrimmage. So maybe they could both get there, but if we're having this conversation, that probably means there's not a huge edge on either of them.
Yeah, and if you're going to give me receiving yards total for a running back on the Steelers, and they're the same number, I'll take Jaylen Warren all day. He's a better pass catcher, more explosive in the open field, and I think they'll just try to pound Najee. Also, a regular Gipper's Picks asked both teams to kick a 33-plus yard field goal, minus 115. Is it attempt or make? Because that's
a make.
I think it's a make. Yeah, it's prime time. I mean, the field goals are plenty in prime time. I think that'll hit.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good look these days. I mean, we're talking about an extra point or higher. Good chance that both teams take one of those opportunities, and they probably both hit them.
And you have a game with a low total. Both teams know this is going to be a bit of a rock fight. I think they're likely to take points.
Yes.
Unless it's like 4th and 1. You know, I don't think they're going to be hyper aggressive. These play callers and these coaches won't be hyper aggressive on 4th down. So yeah, I like that a lot. Somebody asked about Rodgers' yardage under 225.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I lean that way. I was on the under in his his passing attempts for a similar reason as I'd be on the under in his passing yards.
All right. Let me just, the Maestro was apparently on Warren 10.5. You should watch Early Edge. See ya. Hold it down every day, 10 a.m. on this very channel. Somebody asked Rodgers over 2.5 rushing yards. Sorry, Kins is not here today.
Yeah, she would feel that one.
Braylon Allen over 18.5 rushing yards. You heard Danny say he likes that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Breece Hall 14.5 carries. You heard me say I like that. Russell Wilson 20 rushing yards, even money. I don't have any interest in that personally. You know, I think you're just looking at a guy with a bad calf who might not be running a ton, and if he's getting pressured, maybe we see it. Breece Hall over 3.5 catches. You know, I was on that on Monday night, but I think in this new offense and with Adams added, I'm a little, and maybe like the Steelers bring a little more heat or wanting to keep Breece in there just because TJ Watt is an absolute monster. I'm a little more concerned about him getting those catches. So I'm probably staying away from that. That's usually a look for me with Breece, but I don't think so in this instance. All right, let's get to some parlays. We will start. I'll get my phone out as I say. We'll start with Sia's parlay. Sia, give us your parlay.
We've got an alternate total here, obviously, because the total's not 47.5. So we're taking the under 47.5. Then we're listen. So this is one of those parlays where I don't necessarily love to take anytime touchdown scores and include it in a parlay, but there's so little to choose from in a game like this that I went with the guy that I think is most likely to score a touchdown in this entire game, and that's Breece Hall. So anytime touchdown, Breece Hall. Jets -3. Garrett Wilson to record 25-plus receiving yards. Obviously, that's an alt line. George Pickens to record 25-plus receiving yards, another alt line. And then finally, Pat Freiermuth to record 25-plus receiving yards. This is +825. Really, all we need is some of the primary pass catchers for Pittsburgh to catch a few balls. We need Garrett Wilson to get over 25 yards, the Jets to cover, and this game not to explode from a scoring standpoint. And we likely get there for the 3rd out of 4th time at a +800 or greater parlay in prime time.
And I would say to anyone who is considering this parlay, again, and we always say this, obviously BetMGM show sponsor, go check it out on BetMGM. But, you know, you can always shop around because unless I'm reading this wrong, it's six legs, under 47.5, Breece Hall, Jets -2.5, which is just what I happen to have here. Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, and Pat Freiermuth 25-plus yards. I've actually got +950.
Great.
So there you
Love
go.
it.
Yeah, so just make sure, you know, I mean, look, the reality is there's a lot of books and you can sometimes find better. And that's one you probably can't put a boost on.
Actually, you can. I'm so glad you brought that up. there's a couple different BetMGM boosts. I got this up to like plus 1170 or something like that. Ooh. So they have a limit in terms of how much you can put on it, but it's actually a higher limit than you think. So yeah, use that BetMGM boost and you'll get it at like a pretty crazy good number.
I love it. Yeah. Sometimes some of the books do that thing where every leg has to be like minus 200 or higher. So you won't be able to put that boost in. But I love that parlay. I just put it in, nice. And I think when I put it in on Thursday, Sia, I was like, I can't remember why, but like I don't think my account was robust at the time, and I was like hustling to put it in, and so like I just tweeted like LFG to you instead of like tweeting my ticket, because I was like, I don't want to tweet a screen grab of like how much I put on this parlay. It's not enough. Like,
but you did win, right?
I won. Oh no, I was thrilled. Good. Yeah, no. I mean, we won. There were three figures involved. But I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't like, I didn't want to be like, I loved your parlay, bro. I put $10 on it. Like,
let's go.
Yeah, let's go. All right, let me see. Let's see my parlay, Harry, that I put together coming out of a. I had to drive 3.5 hours this morning, so coming out of a coma. Devontae Adams anytime touchdown score. This is a 4-legger for 13, almost 13-1. Under Aaron Rodgers passing yards, Breece Hall to get to 50+ rushing yards, and Najee Harris to get to 50+ rushing yards. As I mentioned, I don't really like I don't love the Najee leg, but I do think that both of these offenses are going to hand the ball off a ton in this game and be very conservative. And, Najee looked better last week. Maybe he keeps it up. The Warren stuff is definitely spooky in terms of that 15. So I guess you could go like alternate, go even lower if you wanted and try and boost it up. But I mean, I think we'll get the carries. It's whether the efficiency will be there for those guys to get to the 50. I mean, 50 is not an insane number of rushing yards.
Agree. I mean, the number that you got, I mean, part of the reason it's plus 1250 is you're throwing stuff like that in there. I mean, I think that's a really good number for the parlay that you put out.
Okay. I thank you. I appreciate that. All right. We've all had our first TD bet call back before, and BetMGM is giving you a second chance with BetMGM's Pro Football Second Chance. Place any first touchdown score bet, and if your player doesn't score first but scores second, get your entire stake back in cash. No opt-in required. Here's how it works. Place a pregame straight first touchdown score bet in any NFL game. If your player scores the first touchdown of the game, win your wager is normal. If your player scores the second touchdown of the game, you'll get your stake back in cash. It's that simple. Log into BetMGM for more details. Let's get to our first touchdown scorer bets. I don't believe that we picked up. Oh, wait. Let me see the graphic, Harry, with the diamonds. We have no diamond hands here?
No, not one.
Well, I asked for the graphic because, as Sia pointed out on the last show, I so rudely forgot the rule, or it probably was so dismissive right away. He's like, "No, Brinson, I told you that."
He was.
I was like, "I don't think you did, but whatever." If you have diamond hands, you get to go first. None of us do. So, Sia, I'll let you fire it up first. By the way, we all have the Jets players here.
Yeah, we'll start with a guy that hasn't been talked about at all on this show. It's Tyler Conklin. He's healthy. I mean, he is a little nicked up going into this game, but I do think he's a favorite target. And when you look at how the Jets are going to attack with this new Devontae Adams component, I just really like the idea of Tyler Conklin kind of going unnoticed, or just kind of shaking whatever safety is covering him on the play. I think Tyler Conklin is actually becoming a very much a favorite target of Aaron Rodgers as long as he's healthy. He's healthy in this game. I'm getting plus 2,000. Really like that one.
I dig it. Danny?
Yeah, I'm going Braylon Allen. I think he gets involved in this game. Hard-nosed running back. Put his head down and push the pile. I'm hoping to get involved maybe in a goal line situation where they decide to give it to the young kid. We saw him punch it in twice. One time, in one game earlier this season. So he's still a candidate, plus 1,400. Like, those are the shortest odds I've given yet so far. So I feel good about this one, actually.
Yeah, I got something here that I thought was a little frustrating, and I haven't checked every book I have. I know that MGM didn't include him, and I looked at FanDuel too, just really quickly, like before the show. I'd like to see a Justin Fields number on first touchdown scorer.
I was just looking for his rushing props after you mentioned it. I'm thinking, you know what? What if it goes bad with Russell Wilson and they want to do maybe some direct snap action. They bring Fields out there for some like wild horses, remember all that wildcat type of play.
Yeah.
Maybe they do some weird package stuff, but no, I'm not seeing any rushing props for Fields available. If you guys can find them, let me know.
Yeah, I just looked for him for first touchdown. I didn't see him. For the record, BetMGM has an even better number than I put out on Tyler Conklin. It's plus 2,200, not plus 2,000.
I like that. Oh yeah, let's see. I'm looking at your parlay here, to try and find you get up to 10-1 with the boost. There you go. So there you go. That's what I saw on MGM. I'm gonna put it on multiple books. Tell them Sia sent me. I've got Alan Lazard for first touchdown. I'll be honest, like again, this kind of comes back to looking at the odds. We think the Jets have the more functional offense. I think this is one where, as much as I love betting first touchdowns, I'm not allocating a huge amount of my bankroll to the guys where we're chasing for the diamond hands who are 10-1 or longer. I think there's a really good chance that it's either Breece Hall or Devontae Adams down by the goal line. And so just be cautious with that. Like I would rather bet Breece Hall anytime touchdown for a unit than sprinkle a unit around on a bunch of different long shot first touchdown scores, just because I think it's tough. But I mean, Alan Lazard is still Aaron Rodgers' buddy, and Mike Williams, who wasn't on the inactive list, he basically went AWOL because Rodgers dragged him, and the next day they traded for Devontae Adams. And so I think you'll see Lazard in any three wide receiver sets. He's the deep ball guy. Maybe, Devontae and Garrett Wilson are going to have a ton of attention. You run some kind of play action thing. Rodgers takes a shot downfield, or, one of those free play things that Rodgers pulls off all the time. That's a prime Alan Lazard look where, Lazard, having played with him enough, I think Lazard knows if Aaron Rodgers draws somebody off sides and is going to get the free play, just run that 9 route and turn around when you get about 30 yards down the field, and Rodgers can be chucking it. So I think there's some decent looks there, but certainly, again, I would stress, I think more than likely we probably see a chalky first touchdown score in this game.
Fair enough. And by the way, others are finding Conklin at plus 2,800. So good stuff.
Conklin at 2,800, I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you get down to the goal line and the Steelers' defensive plan is basically to stack the box against Breece Hall and double Devontae Adams. You could easily see Conklin there. So 2,800, very nice number for Tyler Conklin. Okay. Any other, looking to see if there's anything, I've got to scroll back down. Sorry. Any Jets plus 170. What is with the fractions and the decimals, guys? Jets plus 1.76 to score first, Rob King says. I mean,
Jets to score first. Interesting. Those are dicey propositions. I don't love it, especially in a game like I could see both teams punting on their first drive, and then we're in a weird spot. So I don't love it, especially if it's chalky.
Yeah, I don't find. I put 420. That's funny. I don't find those bets particularly appealing. There's not much of an edge, especially when you don't know who's going to win the coin toss and who's going to defer and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree with you. Alan Lazard, 2.5 receptions. Nah.
I like receiving yards, but perhaps more than receptions. But he's getting targets, man. I don't think he's got less than 4 targets in any game.
I don't hate if you like to do my stupid never hits, but always kind of flirts with it for a hot minute. Sort of like my game in college. Am I right? Hey, I think you could look at like Alan Lazard and George Pickens inverse or inverse correlation parlays where over yards, under target or under catches, just because Pickens is going to get the Sauce Gardner treatment, but could get open for a long one and then might just catch a couple. And then Lazard's just such a deep threat that he could have 2 catches in like 50 yards. So
that kind of correlates nicely to my Calvin Austin take, where he could literally have 1 55-yard catch, but come under his 1.5 receptions prop. So you could take the under 1.5, which is juiced to the under, by the way. So the market thinks he's only going to catch 1 ball, but take that plus take the singular ladder play 50 plus at plus 500. That's going to pay out pretty well.
It's actually, look, I'm going to look really quickly and then we'll get done with the show, but I want to know what the Calvin Austin under catches, Alan Lazard over catches, and then Calvin Austin over, it's 1.5, as Sia mentioned. Calvin Austin over 15.5 yards and Alan Lazard over 29.5 yards. A $10 parlay on those four things pays out 70 to 1. I don't hate that.
Wow. Yeah, I don't hate that.
I do appreciate, by the way, the books, like, and I guess it's like all algorithmic, so it's not like some guys back there, pulling a lever or anything like that. But like when you put in the things that are, inversely correlated, it actually does boost up the number. Whereas like a normal 4-leg parlay, I mean, again, it's probably idiot business doing this, but nevertheless, I will be sprinkling a little bit on that inverse parlay. I just put it in. So let's go cash that as well. Okay. That'll do it for us. Great show. Not a great game. Maybe it'll be a great game. Who knows? We'll see. It could be fun. Who knows? For Danny. All right, so we're going to recap our bets. I'm an idiot. I've got the Jets money line and Devontae Adams anytime touchdown. Danny's on the Jets money line and Alan Lazard over 27.5 receiving yards. And Sia's also on the Jets money line. I guess the lesson here is just, consolidate your units and just hammer the Jets money line and let's cash. And let's hope our buddy gets the 10 out of 10 parlay. Everybody wins. Everybody cashes their bets. That'll do it for us. For Danny, for Sia, I'm Brinson. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you guys later.